What is up, everybody? This is the NerdCave Awards.
Woo!
I should, yeah, there we go. I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined by my good friend and co-host, Derek Daniel. Derek, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. I'm looking forward to it. Last show of the year. Let's go. Like, we just had Game Awards. Like, I am curious. Like, I want to get into like what your thoughts were after I left last week. But we'll get to that in here in just a moment. But I am excited to do Nerd Cave Awards, last show of the year. When we'll start next year, TBD. We'll talk about that afterwards. And figure out, let you guys know, let it marinate, see what we want to do, because we also have our last Eat Sleep anime of the year coming up. I think I know we haven't locked down the date, but I'm assuming it's going to be next weekend. It's going to be the weekend after Christmas. I'm assuming, right?
Something like that. We'll nail it down. We'll nail it down.
But we have Eat Sleep Anime, our last episode of the year for that coming up. But tonight is all about video games, and I'm excited. Zach, I know we watched Game Awards last week.
Mm-hmm.
We were pretty excited. I did look at it the morning after I got up. I know, no surprise, Claire Obscure won Game of the Year, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts about the last hour-ish of the show. What were your thoughts to end strong? I know they announced another new Star Wars game. I'm curious to see your hype meter on that.
So I think it's like Galactic Speeder or something like that.
Yeah, it's the
Galactic
Pod Racer game. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not a pod racer game. That's the thing that I feel like they dropped the ball on. It's just speeders. It's just like speeder bikes and speeders. And I'm like, y'all missed a whole possibility. Like, if they would have actually brought back pod racing, that would have been amazing. I'm still excited for it. I think it will be a ton of fun. But the back half of Game Awards was paced really poorly compared to the first 2/3 of the show and everything.
That's wild, because usually it's always that middle third that drags on, like very uneven, and then it closes strong. So to hear that it didn't close strong was kind of surprising.
Yeah, it felt like the announcements had more money tied to them, like High Guard, which I'm interested in, shouldn't have been the one last thing. It was
that's the one thing I was hearing people complain about, was the one last thing game.
Yeah. Now, seeing it live, I was like, okay, this actually looks pretty interesting, but I would not have ended the show with that. But clearly money was involved. But it, like, the Mega Man reveal was cool, but then it was like, oh, we're getting more of the same. We're not getting like a Sonic Frontiers or a Mario Odyssey or something like that. We're just getting more 2D, side scroller Mega Man, and it being so late was kind of weird. But it fell kind of flat going into the back end of it and everything. But yeah, I agree with Jason over here. I think it's Jason. Oh my God, my brain is like fogging right now with the construct. It fell out of order. I would end with Star Wars. Yeah, if they would have ended with Fate, that would have been better. If they would have ended with Larian's new project,
Divinity,
like, that would have been great. Like, something other than what they ended with would have been amazing. But it just felt like they didn't. I felt like it was kind of the Chick Hydro kind of conundrum. It's like, we've got to have money here. So, but overall, majority of the show was paced really well, and I feel like not everybody's going to be excited for the announcements that we got, but I do feel like a lot of the announcements were much better. This is probably the best year that we've had at the Game Awards, in my opinion. That or last year. I feel like the announcements last year were a lot stronger than this year, but it was probably one of the best shows that we've had.
Good. So, and again, like I said, no surprise, Expedition 33 won Game of the Year, rightfully so, well deserved.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so good. That was our Game Awards recap for Derek, because I missed the last third of the show. So we have another piece of interesting news that I texted you about yesterday. Your boy finished Ghost of Yotei.
I know.
So, like, it's finally done. I know you just got started in the last section of the game, Oshima Coast. I'm not going to spoil anything. I know the ending was satisfying. I'll get into more of like, you know, the rhyme and reasons, you know, like because it's awards night for us guys. So obviously, you know, you can kind of already predict what our game of the year is going to be, the such and such, but that there's reasons for that. But I did, you know, I did enjoy it. I beat it. I did clean up. I finished the last bounty, Black Knight Kubo. I did beat Takizo the Unrivaled. My God, part of that fight was unnaturally hard. Because it's like he summoned. I don't know if you've seen any of the videos. Like, it's like when he summons that snowstorm, all of a sudden it's like he gets like times 10 speed or whatever, because he starts like slashing quicker, like starts like, oh, you countered it. Well, guess what? I got a counter for your counter, and it's like, bro, I need you to calm down. And that's why, like, I saved all my like pistol ammo, and I just like like there was a point where I like got his like I broke his guard, and I just went pow pow pow. I just unloaded on him at one point. I'm like, I need help, help me.
Like the tactics that I've seen, like there's various different play styles and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to like. I'm gonna probably save right before it so I could just like test some things out just to see and everything.
Yeah, because if you die, because I died a lot. If you die, it doesn't give you like a chance to like, you know, like go off. Like I'm sure there's a way you can like get out of the mission, but it starts you right back at the beginning of the fight. Like no cutscene, no, and it just throws you right back in. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, so like having a save before all of that would be nice, but like I've seen people using the Mitsubishi, like the sand, to like,
oh yeah, pocket fit.
Yeah, and then I've seen people use like the arrow like stuff and all that. So like I'm very looking forward to getting into that. But yeah, like my last play Tuesday, fought Saito, and then got into the coast and everything, and then took the watchtower back and everything, and I got both pistol and rifle now, so I'm liking where we're going, and I can't wait to explore more. And finding out that that Jubei has a daughter, Kiku, I was like, when he was like, do you have a family? And I'm like, and then he was like, we have to go, and I'm like, and then he was like, someone very dear to me. I was like,
like so, I thought it would have been his wife and child, but it was just a child. So I'm like, okay, cool. And she plays she like not an integral part in the story, but she actually you'll end up liking Kiku a lot, because there's a lot of similarities. Even though you just met to Atsu. So
yeah, breaking in and getting the medicine and everything, like that mission was fun. I accidentally knocked her down a ladder at one point in time. But yeah, it's great, and I'm looking forward to getting tomorrow's my last day of work for like 2 weeks, so I'm going to be playing I'm going to be playing a ton of that, plus some other games, finishing up Death Stranding. I've got like a whole list of things. Like I looked at this year, I haven't played a ton. Like I've played the same.
I played more than I did last year, but it still wasn't a lot.
Yeah, usually like the last part of the year, like when I take off for holiday, that's when I play the most.
That's when you play. That's where you found what was that game?
I found Venba and Cocoon last year.
Yes, that's what it was.
Man, they were amazing. They were so good. So I'm looking forward to like getting some more indies under my belt and trying some different things out, and of course finishing 2 of the games that I really want to finish this year, which is Yote and Death Stranding 1. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Y'all let us know what y'all been playing. Joe says I've been getting into Hogwarts Legacy, which was free over on Epic Game Store. But I know a lot of people love the game. I enjoyed my time with it. I never went back and finished it. I know Derek went and did you 100% it?
I did the important stuff. I don't think I like 100%ed it, but I did majority of the stuff in the game for sure.
Love it. Amy said my favorite game has been the same since 2020.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. So to give y'all kind of a rundown, this is how the show is going to go. Instead of making you wait pins and needles, we're going to do game of the year first. Then we're going to go into our category most unexpected game that we enjoyed, and then go into most disappointing game of 2025, then into most anticipated game that is not GTA 6, because everybody's going to always say that over anything else. Favorite Nerd Cave moment, the best conference of the year, and what we want from the gaming industry in 2026. So it is going to be a great show tonight, y'all. Let us know your thoughts and opinions. What was your game of the year? Every category, we want your opinions in there. We'd love to get to this is probably my favorite show of the year, other than like probably Summer Games Fest and the Game Awards. It's like the 3 tentpole shows for the year. Like these are my favorite ones.
Same.
Joe says I'm def 100% it, but I definitely feels like I'm missing something. You're going to be spending a lot of time in that game. I can tell you.
Yeah,
I can tell you. And we normally, like with like game of the year, like any of our categories, we normally like hold it to whatever has been released this year. And
I know everyone wants to do it because I know everyone else in the industry does it for the games they played this year in 2025, like the 2025 release games, but we don't have that privilege.
Yeah. So that's why we introduced the most unexpected game of the year into that. But without further ado, Derek, I've got us a little ceremonial music to get us into it.
Okay.
So let's talk about game of the year, Derek.
Gee, what other game could it be but, Hollow Knight? I'm just kidding. Expeditionary, I'm kidding. It has to be, for us, both of us, we've been waiting for this game all year since we knew it was coming out. And when it got a release date, finally, we were both ecstatic, was Ghost of Yotei.
Yes.
Continuing off of what Tsushima did, improved a lot of the quality of life stuff, especially the combat improvements, just did it over and over again. But for me, Zach, cue the Sony pony, for me, like in years past, that we've done this, like Astrobot was the definitive winner. The year before that was, I forget what I gave game of the year in 2023, but it was definitive. Like this was the best game of that year. This year it wasn't so close for me because I played Assassin's Creed Origins and it did, the thing, it brought Assassin's Creed back. Like I had that, seeing all the gameplay stuff for Shadows, and I'm like, well, I'm still unsure of that. Let me play something that's in my backlog that I've been wanting to play that I know you hyped up. And I played Origins, fell in love with that game. It pretty much was my game of like the summer. Like I spent a whole entire summer just going through, doing everything I could in that game. Where Yotei, because at the end of it, like I'm not going to spoil anything since I finished Yotei for you, Zach, but it did feel like Acts 2 and 3 were rushed. In the Act 3 is pretty much like, because in Act 2 you take out the dragon and the spider, and then Act 3 all you have left is Saito, so it doesn't have much left. But I feel like now I know the snake was like an introductory, villain, but I felt like you got more time with Oni and the Kitsune,
and
it didn't really feel like, of course, you got enough Saito drip throughout the, especially with the flashbacks, seeing how it all set up, why Saito came in and like killed your family, all that kind of stuff. But I feel like you didn't get enough time with the spider and the dragon to care. You know what I mean? Like the Kitsune had a really intriguing story. The Oni had like one of those like honorable falls from grace with it, so with his story. But I didn't feel like you got that same reciprocation with the dragon and the spider, especially since they're both, siblings. I feel like that dynamic wasn't as fleshed out as it could have been. Whereas Origins had an intriguing story from start to finish. What saved, I think, Yotei was the cast and just like the side quest. I think while you didn't have a gang of adventurers come in at the end like you did in Tsushima to help you out, they still played an integral part in your development of being the Onryo, in getting your revenge. There was no wasted space in the open world map in Yotei. I felt like everywhere you went there was like an intriguing point of interest where we've talked about it for years now, like, or like, not just Assassin's Creed, but any Ubisoft open world game, there's so much wasted space. Like, I
Yes.
can't tell you, Origins had that fault too. There was several sections of the map where you went to, and there was like hardly any to no points of interest in that section. I'm like, well, why is it here? Why does it exist? Like, you could have cut this out and trimmed the fat back a little bit, but you didn't. So I feel like that's where Yote saved, is like the gameplay, and like the world you lived in was so much more fleshed out that it saved it, and that's why it edged out Origins for my game of the year.
I love it. Yeah, I would agree. Yote is my game of the year as well. To no shocker for anybody and everything. Like, I've played a lot of good games. Doom, The Dark Ages, Blueprints. I played Claire Obscura to a degree. Vampire Survivors, I've really been loving. Death Stranding. I feel like if we didn't keep it to like games that are this year, Death Stranding might, once I finish it, it might, being able to compare the two, it might edge it out a little bit. But I've loved my time in Ghosts of Yote, playing Tsushima and then jumping right into this when it, released and everything. I, just have enjoyed the characters, the story, seeing like Jubei and everything, like getting further into it has been really interesting. And seeing, we make the joke that we call Unc, the uncle in the first one, just Unc and everything. And I'm like, I think Jubei might be a little bit more like Unc but it's like, there's times where he will bend stuff and everything. But I love the bounty system. I love the new weapons and all of that. Like we've talked about, it doesn't feel as deep as the stances, but it does work with the character. I love the music that is in the game. And I can already sense that this new section that I'm in is going to be a little bit more rushed than the last, like the bigger section in Act 1. But even Act 2 in Ghosts of Tsushima kind of felt a little bit quicker than Act 1 did. Act 1 in Tsushima was a little bit longer. You spent a lot more time in it. Compared to Act 2. And Act 3 was pretty quick as well in Tsushima. So I feel like it's kind of like the way that they pace things in their games and everything. But it's a gorgeous game. I can't wait to explore more of it. But that is our game of the year this year, is Ghost of Yote, everybody. So give them a little love.
Yeah. Good job, Sucker Punch. You did it again.
So let's go to our next category, which is most unexpected game.
So for me, I kind of alluded to it, was Assassin's Creed Origins. I played it, and I know you had hyped it up when it came out years ago. You had really loved it. I know that was when like that year of like they started to take Assassin's Creed in a new direction with this open world RPG style of game. And you had played Origins, I had played Odyssey. We both had our loves for it, and playing Odyssey and then playing Shadows like kind of got me that itch to play an Assassin's Creed game. And I played Origins, and man, it did not it did not miss, and it scratched that itch so well. The story, like Bayek as a protagonist, was just, I connected with him on a lot of things, like getting revenge for his son, and his having that disconnect with his wife. Is like we love each other, but we live in two different worlds type deal. Even down to the DLC, like the Curse of the Pharaohs and the Hidden Ones DLC, like the start of the Brotherhood, essentially, like the forming of it. But just like we talked about it, like some of the boss fights, like the hyena boss fight was iconic. The Scarab,
oh my gosh,
or the lizard, I think it was the lizard boss fight, was memorable. So just like how that got set up and whatnot. So I really was intrigued, and it kind of gets me that itch to go play, because I know there's been, I think, confirmation somewhat of an Assassin's Creed 4 remake, and I know like people like really loved that game when it came out. It was like one of the last better Assassin's Creed before they took the turns to the RPG mechanics. So I'm kind of thinking about either waiting for that, or maybe going back and playing Odyssey, maybe give Valhalla a second chance, because I know Valhalla doesn't get probably a fair itch than it does, but I know it does some really intriguing things from a story perspective and like a historical perspective, being in the Viking era. But Assassin's Creed Origins, for that reason. And just like, again, like the skill tree, like I never felt like I was ever under leveled for anything. Like in Odyssey, you could go anywhere on the map, and like, not that you couldn't, but at least told you like the level cap you needed to be. So it kind of gave me my path. So it's like, okay, let me go to these areas for next before I go here. So I never felt under leveled. Whereas Odyssey, I went to, and like with the the bounty hunter system they have in there, like they're hunting you. I would run into like on an area where everyone's like the same level as me, and then all of a sudden I ran into like the top tier bounty hunter that was like level 50, and I'm here level 17. I'm like, gonna go the other way, So I never felt like I was under leveled in Origins, but and if you've been part of the Nerd Cave for the last 4 years, guys, I always have to give a little extra. I do have to give a shout out to Avowed as well, because thinking back on the years, because the game came out in February. And I know we both played it, but I played it a little bit more than you did. And for like a good 2.5 months up until South of Midnight came out, it kind of just was like my game that I just booted up every time on the Xbox. And like it just really captured that medieval fantasy itch, like with the spellcasters, because I never really got into the Elder Scrolls series as much as I should have. But this kind of gave me that little, it's not the same in like by all means, but it's kind of like that pseudo Elder Scrolls game that kind of just scratched that itch for me about, getting into like a fantasy world with all these like different types, different character slots, like the different equipment, just playing like a good old fashioned RPG with dialogue choices, and then like getting to know your party as you gain more members, and like picking and choosing to like make sure you have the proper loadout for the area you're going into. So Avowed gets my honorable mention for most unexpected game of the year.
I love it. Having played, a few different games throughout the year, thanks to Game Pass before they raised their prices, there are a lot of games that actually surprised me this year.
Yeah.
But there's one that stands above them all that I thought I would never actually pick up, and that's Death Stranding.
I was going to say, if it's not Death Stranding, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, Death Stranding has been so good. I know Dan has preached how quality the game is, and I've played a ton of Kojima's games. I've played pretty much all of the Metal Gears except for 2. I don't know why I skipped 2, but I never played 2. But I played all of his games, and this one is finally like, it makes so much more sense story-wise, but it's still weird at the same time. And there's just something therapeutic about delivering packages.
Yeah.
And the ramp of like what's going on in the story is just so good. And it can even be like these big moments happen and everything, and you're like, holy crap, what am I going to do? And you somehow get out of that, and then you're back to delivering more packages. It feels kind of like an anime where like you have the big ramps in the story, and then you have like you've got those kind of moments in there as well. And I like Sam Porter as a character is kind of like this enigma in a way, but you're rooting for him. You want him to, survive, and his attachment to the BB, the beach baby, which he names Lou and everything. It's like there's just so many good moments throughout that whole thing. And there's a point where something happens and you're like talking to yourself like for a section of the game because you don't have the beach baby. Right. And he's like, Lou, and he's just like, oh yeah. And like he's like missing the baby and everything. So I have really, really enjoyed that game. Another surprise for me, since you did an extra one, is the altars.
Okay.
It's something that we saw at, I want to say, last year's Game Awards.
Okay.
Is when we saw it first, and it was intriguing. And then I picked it up over on Game Pass, and it was fantastic. Such an interesting game. The concept, the one dude playing all of these different clones, as I say, it's Animal Crossing in space with clones, and that is the best way to describe it. And it plays so well, and like each clone has a different personality because it's based off of like your past, and each big major decision is where where things would branch off and you would become a scientist or you would become you know, a coal miner or whatever it is, you know, all of these different things. So there's so many different versions of you, and you're literally pulling them into this abysmal state and trying to outrun the sun and survive and everything. So absolutely love that game. And of course, Doom. The Dark Ages, you know. Yeah.
So I know Metal, your game of the summer, honestly.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you, Zach, since you brought it, because I knew you were going to bring up Death Stranding, because I meant to ask you this before our Game Awards last week, but they got started on us. What playing Death Stranding and, you know, growing up in the Metal Gear games, and I know he's only done 2 Death Stranding games, and I know there's OD and Physic coming out. I know we've seen at least some OD. Which era of Kojima games, you know, did you, because it's sort of like, you know, crossing streams here, the Patriots dynasty, right? Like there was that streak of like they won 3 championships, then they went on a lull, and then like the mid 2010s they went on another streak of winning Super Bowls. Which era of Kojima games do you think you're liking the most? Like, did you like the OG Metal Gear games that kind of put him on the map with Konami, or the Kojima that is free to create whatever, not under the thumb of like a big company, like getting to do these weird delivery simulator games with weird psychological boss battles, you know, and all like babies and everything like that? Which era of Kojima games are you most like thinking like not just like that you're enjoying, but like you think that he's thriving in?
Well, it's difficult to say because all the games have been fantastic. I think the creativity has always been there. Because I feel like he's had free reign to a degree, and to his detriment with Konami. What we saw with like, you know, Metal Gear 5, 5, Phantom Pain and everything, how all of that kind of, you know, came and all of that kind of blew up and everything. I personally think this era of Kojima is better though, and the reason I say that is I feel like him being able to, because Metal Gear's got so big that it's kind of hard to get your mind wrapped around it. Playing Metal Gear Solid 5, I was like, I don't know what the crap is going on. Like I did not understand anything that was happening in the story. I was very confused. And like I said, I played all of them except for 2. And still understood stuff, but it got more and more convoluted as it went. Playing what we've got now, Death Stranding, is like, yeah, the world is different. We have the, you know, the Death Stranding that happened. We have the beaches. We have all of these very intricate things, but it still made sense. And I feel like his storytelling has gotten so much better since he's done Metal Gear. He got to really hone himself, but being in this era, I think he knows he's like, these are the games that are going to be more remembered than Metal Gear. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, now especially since Konami's going back and like remaking, like that's their next thing is like remaking all the Metal Gear games essentially, or at least the popular ones. So it's sort of like they're trying to wipe Kojima's Kojima's thumbprint off of it.
Yeah, and it's like he's still there and all of that, but it feels like with these games, he's trying to be more on the ball with like what's happening in the world. Like with Death Stranding, it's like trying to connect people. With Death Stranding 2, it's like, should we be this connected? Where it's more of a commentary on social media and how that could be a detriment and everything. And you could even see some of that in Death Stranding 1. It's like, hey, being this connected actually might not be a good thing at the same time. And then, you know, OD, like what we've seen in previews, looks phenomenal. It looks scary as crap. But him having, you know, Jordan Peele working with him on that, I think is just only going to sharpen the iron more and make it fantastic. So I do think this era of Kojima is the best era. And, you know, I love Metal Gear Solid, but I do think that this is him at his peak.
Yeah, agreed. So I think this is where you really get to see like the mind of Kojima at work. And I can't wait to see what Fizzant looks like. I know we've kind of gotten hints there, here and there, but nothing really solid yet. So you got to imagine at this point, OD will be his next game that comes out, and then Fizzant. But I'm excited to see what both present to that world, because I want to, I wanted to give I played a little bit of Death Stranding 1 when it came out, didn't give it its fair shake, or just never went back to it. But hearing you again talk about it and just like gush over it makes me kind of want to give it a second shake, especially since the second one was nominated for Game of the Year this year. So we'll see. But I know OD and Fizzant I'm keeping my eye on those when they come out.
Quickly to the chat, the Construct says, hooray for Yote. Watching Expedition 33 was like watching Michael Jackson at the Grammys 40 years ago win everything. I'm old. Well, we're glad that you're here. Amy said, never thought a game with the baby would be this popular around here. And Joe says, I didn't play much, so my game of the year is Kingdom Hearts 1. Did you play Kingdom Hearts 1 this year? That's the way we'll decide that one.
Yeah.
Now let's move into most disappointing game this year. And the way we're kind of deciding this is something that, and apparently Joe did play it this year, is a game that we were excited for. And once we got hands-on with it, it was disappointing. That's literally why it's most disappointing game. And we literally talked beforehand, and both of us agreed on the same one. But Derek, I'll let you go first.
So we agreed on both of it because thinking about the games we did play, because we were both hyped for it. Like seeing the previews, it did look really well. But I think we were more enthralled with the story, and that was South of Midnight.
Yep.
The story is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Like the setup, like the threads they put through the game, that you find all this new characters, like, all right, they had a relationship to your mother, or like this is why your grandparents were distant from your dad's side, type of deal. Like the story was intriguing, but the gameplay, which is like just as equal to story, or integral to what a game is, was the most disappointing part. Like once you got to a certain point in the beginning part of the game, or the first couple chapters, it became very repetitious. You really didn't evolve after that. Like, yeah, you might have gotten a new ability for your sidekick here and there, but it really didn't add anything to the overall quality of life in the gameplay. It was really just, all right, boom, dodge, whack a few times, tether them out, slow them down, tether them once the little sphere comes up above them to purify the land. Like it was really much cut and repeat, rinse and repeat. And then again, like even the puzzle solving became very, one note beat. So the gameplay was the most disappointing part, which is what, kind of keeps you there. The story is what brings you into the world of the video game, but the gameplay is what keeps you going and what keeps you enthralled to keep turning it on. And, I tried to give it its fair shake, but about a month into playing the game, I just never had a desire to go back. Do I want to just to finish the story? Yes. Do I want to keep doing the repetitive stuff? Like the last boss battle I remember, which was in this bayou area, was intriguing. And Two-Toe, the alligator, was intriguing. Like the boss fights do get intriguing to an extent, but then again, it just becomes rinse and repeat. Just add more steps to the same formula that you're already doing. So yeah, no shade to Compulsion. I know this was their first game that got to branch out, post. I know they flexed their, the muscles of having more of a budget on We Happy Few. And then they got to really flex their storytelling muscles with South of Midnight. So I hope their next game that they're doing is just as intriguing. And I hope they just work on making gameplay just as much of an integral part to the game as their storytelling.
Yeah. I compare this to Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Yes.
And where Kena has a much more interesting and robust gameplay side of it. And its story is still compelling. And the sidekick characters and all of that in there are cute and all of that, but it just feels good the whole time. You don't get tired of playing Kena. But South of Midnight, the way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to go on YouTube and look up the story and watch the story side of it and be done with it. I gave it a 3 out of 5, which is, we do 10s here, but on this website that I do, called Backlogged. It only goes up to 5, so
okay,
give it a 3 out of 5, and it's all right. But the gameplay is so lackluster that I
yeah,
wouldn't recommend this to anybody, to be
yeah,
honest. And that's so sad because the culture that is in there, the music that they've got,
yes,
the acting, the
world that they built.
the world that they built, the art style, like all of
Mhm.
it is like hitting so good, and then the gameplay is just so mediocre. It's not
Yeah,
bad, like especially at the beginning. It's like, okay, this is pretty fun, but it gets so repetitive. Like the loop doesn't keep, you
expanding.
know, yeah, expanding. Like Doom, the Dark Ages continues to expand. You keep getting new things.
I know
Anytime
you
you
said you
get
were
bored,
like well over halfway in the game and still getting new stuff.
yeah, and it's like anytime you're about to get bored, they're like, new thing, new enemy, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, that is what I love about gaming, because you can have a good story and it be a movie or a
Yeah,
book, but it's gaming. So you have to have a good gameplay loop. If I didn't care anything about, a story, I'd go play sports games,
right.
and I know I would get good gameplay. But it's when you're trying to sell something like that, it's got to be both of those things. And I agree with
Right.
you. I hope Compulsion's next game knocks it out of the park on both gameplay and on story, because we're not the only ones that have said this about South of Midnight. Like, this
Mhm.
is pretty much across the board consensus.
Consensus.
There we go. That word. That the gameplay is the weakest part of it. And I hate to give a game the most disappointing game of the year, but it is unfortunately the most disappointing game of the year.
Yeah.
But let's talk about our most anticipated game of 2026 that isn't Grand Theft Auto 6.
Man, what you mean? I'm just kidding.
I am excited for it. I'm looking forward to playing November 19th,
Right.
but
When everyone
anytime,
and their mother is voted for that as the most anticipated game, it's kind of like, okay, what else is there that's not just GTA 6 next year?
yeah, exactly. So, Derek, I don't know if you have, um,
A
have
list.
a list or anything.
I do have
What you,
several. I do have several honorable mentions, and this is like a lot of course. We preface this by saying this is banking on the fact that they are coming out next year, right? Like some of them just have like release windows, some of them actually have dates, but some of them just have like, oh, it might come out next year. We don't know. Like there's
Mhm.
no, and we've seen time and time again, even games with like day and dates still get delayed. Like GTA 6 had a day and date for May, and then everyone was like, all right, cool, we're just avoiding summer, and they delayed it to November, gave it a hard date. Now, will it stick? We'll see, but again, just because it has a date doesn't mean, but this is our banking that it comes out next year. So my honorable mentions, um of course, Control Resonant, which we just saw, officially unveiled at Game Awards last week. So I'm excited for that. I need to go back and finish Control. I'll probably just start from the beginning because it's been so long since I played the first one, and play through all the DLC. I need to go back, and I need to just pick a time where I just need to go through Remedy's games and just play like Alan Wake, Control, Alan
Yeah,
Wake 2.
somebody needs to finish Alan Wake 1.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm stuck in that freaking bulldozer boss battle. But um, anyway, um, and then of course some other ones. I'm kind of intrigued just because I knew you grew up through college playing this series. I'm kind of intrigued to see more of Fable, like the Fable reboot,
Mm,
remake, whatever you want to go through, whatever you want to call it, classify it. But because you have, talked over the years since we knew each other in college about how you just love that entire Fable series, I'm intrigued to see, if Fable does launch next year. I'm kind of keeping my eye on that. Forza Horizon 6, because it's going to Japan, and us, weebs, that love Japan and anime. Like this is speaking to me. Like this may actually get me to play a Forza Horizon game for once, because every one of them has looked intriguing, especially from the gameplay perspective. Like the maps they build are beautiful, but because it's going to Japan, I might actually give it a shot. Just because this series of games have had such a special place in my heart. Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, I'm looking
yes.
forward to that. That's coming out in May. I'm really looking forward to that, just seeing like what all of the legacy, because it looks like, we talked about it in the last trailer we saw for it. It looks like it's covering the video games, the old school movies, you know, the Nolan films, all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of intrigued to see just how much of the Batman, like the 90s animated one, like how much of the Batman universe it's going to actually cover. And then of course, I didn't put this on my most anticipated because there's not been a lot that's signified or justifies that it will specifically launch in 2026, and that's Gears of War E-Day. I'm looking for, if it does launch, cool. I'll be there day one. I'm looking forward to that. Like more Gears. We haven't had Gears game, and now it'll be going on 7 years if it does launch next year. You know, so we haven't had a Gears game since before COVID. So I'm looking forward to that. Looks promising. But my most anticipated game is once again cue up the Sony pony, of course, and that's Marvel's Wolverine. Like once it got shown off with the teaser with Spider-Man 2 and that same PlayStation showcase, we were both excited and we were like, man, Insomniac just doesn't want to take a break at this point. But then the years went by, we saw nothing from it, even after Spider-Man 2 had been released and, they confirmed they weren't going to do any DLC for it. We're like, okay, where's Wolverine? Like we were saying that all 2024, all this year, like leading up to that PlayStation State of Play. And then we finally got it. And it did, and man, did it deliver. It was the visceral, like this is, and not to say that we didn't appreciate the combat and the world that they did for 3 Spider-Man games, Spider-Man 1, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2, that New York was fleshed out, beautiful, well done, like this, like they paid homage to the Rogues Gallery. But I'm excited to see not only what they do with their next property, like Wolverine itself, but like a universe full of mutants. Like we're going to multiple different locations, like Madripoor, all that kind of stuff in Wolverine. It looks like, and then just seeing what kind of villains we give. Like I know, like we saw Mystique, Omega Red. You obviously know we're probably going to get a Sabretooth in there as well. Probably Lady
Sentinels.
Deathstrike. Yeah, Sentinels as well. So I'm so looking forward to seeing what Insomniac is going to do with like a rated M game, like see what they can flex, because that was going to be the next question for Wolverine. It's like, all right, is it going to be more like watered down like Spider-Man is? But they're like, from the first trailer shot, nope, claws to the face. I'm like, nope, this is kid gloves off, baby.
Yeah, I like seeing that trailer was absolutely amazing, and I took some time and I put together my games that I want to play next year list, and we'll just show it right here. And so these are
number 1, Coven of the Chicken Foot.
These are for release date. I actually put them in order of like which I'm going to play, like, but I'm doing release date. So Coven of the Chicken Foot, that is exciting for me. When that first, I was like, this is a Zach game.
Yep, for sure.
100%.
That'll be your most unexpected game of the year next year.
Probably. Control Resonant, which I am excited for, but I do, like you said, I need to play through Control 1, which it is on my list to play earlier on in the year. Fable, like you said, I hope we get it this coming up year, but we'll see. Gears of War E-Day, my God, please just give it to us. Like I want it so bad. And then Halo Campaign Evolved, I think that's going to be fantastic to play through.
I almost did it, but it's like we played Halo before. Like I know this is a fresh coat of paint, it's a different take on it, but I'm just like, I don't feel like putting it out since we've gotten so many different iterations of Halo 1 throughout the years.
True, but it does look really good, and
it does, and I'll still play it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I agree with Wolverine. That's probably my most anticipated. That's probably what I'll give it to nod to. But Orbitals, dude, that game looked so cool on the Game Awards. It's the anime co-op game that looks like 70s anime and everything.
Yeah.
Looks amazing. Soros is another one that I'm really, really looking forward to next year.
You've always had a special place for Housemarque, so.
Oh, yeah. So looking forward to that. And I agree with Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. It's going to be great. I want to see more of Renaissance of Plague Tale to see what that is going to be. That's another one. And then Mouse PI for Hire is one that I'm looking forward to a lot as well. Yugi put us onto that one. So that one's going to be cool. And then Pragmata, I want to play the demo. Haven't got to it yet, but I am excited for that. But yeah, I think between Wolverine and Saros and Orbitals, those are kind of my like top 3, and then Coven of the Chicken Foot, which I think Coven, let's see, okay, so it doesn't even have a date yet. Yeah, none of these have a date. I don't think. Yeah, literally none of them have dates yet.
I think Batman, I was the only one that has a release date because I think it's like end of May.
Yeah, Grand Theft.
And Saros says end of April.
Yeah, so Grand Theft, Phantom Blade, and then Lego, and then I think Pragmata got one as well.
Yeah, April like a couple days before Saros.
Man, and 007's on there, but
that game doesn't know what it wants to be. Like you said it perfectly when they unveiled Lenny Kravitz as like a villain in the game. We're like, what is this? What is happening?
Yeah, and what's hilarious? Like I was texting Roger from Kind of Funny. I was like, "Hey, do you want me?" I was joking. Do you want me to make a short for like Miss Piggy or Lenny Kravitz or Miss Piggy? He was like, "Yeah, that or Lenny Kravitz." And I was like, "Ha ha ha, funny." It's like, "Ha ha, all right, I'll drop everything and get on it." And then after the show, I was like, "Hey, is there anything?" He was like, "Oh, yeah, I actually want the Lenny Kravitz thing." And I was like, "Oh." But then he was like, actually, can you do like a overview of like everybody's thoughts and everything? I was like, much rather do that. So, but yeah. Before we jump into the next one, I want to jump into chat real quick. Amy, when we were talking about South of Midnight, says it can look great, but if the story isn't good, it's not worth it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The Construct says, I'm disappointed that I didn't play Battlefield 6 as much as I thought. I feel like I fell for the hype. It's still great, but it's still a shooter. Yeah. I want to play Battlefield 6, but I keep getting, Derek, I don't know about you. I keep getting fed Arc Raiders, and I'm like, man, I really want to play it. I really want to play it. I want to go in. I don't know. It looks fun. For Anticipated, I'm torn between Wolverine and Resident Evil Requiem.
Requiem does look really good too.
And the way that they're splitting it, where half of it is the female character, where it's more like survival horror, and then the other half is Leon, and it's more of the action shoot 'em kind of Resident Evil. So I'm liking like the having both of those in the same game. So I think that's going to be pretty dope.
Right.
Petite Planet does sound good. Animal Crossing plus Stargazing. I haven't heard of that one. That does look good. Sound good. Does sound good. Now, Derek, to our favorite Nerd Cave moment.
And again, I always struggle with this because it's like, what defining moments do we have? Do I have?
So hard.
It is, and I'm gonna go. When it gets to this, I never like it to be about me. But I think just a small win for you, Zach, is you finally getting your foot into the door of Kind of Funny and being like an editor for them. Like you've been wanting this for God knows how long, like as long as I can remember. And when you messaged me this, you're like, "Hey, I have some big news." I'm like, "All right, spill." And you told me this. I was like, "Brother, let's go." So I think that was like the favorite moment, just getting to finally have you realize that dream of like getting your foot in the door with them. Like, obviously, now the onus is on you to not screw it up. But don't screw it up. But I'm proud of you, man. You've been sticking with it. You never gave up your dream. And you're finally getting to live it out and finally getting a W in your column. A well-deserved W.
Thanks, bro. I do appreciate that a lot. That means a lot coming from you. I think my favorite moment is like every week getting to sit down and talk with you about video games. I know it might seem like a cop out to some people, but it's my favorite part of the week. Like I love playing video games. I love doing the Tuesday night streams, but having my best friend and I get to sit down for an hour and a half or whatever every week and get to talk about the things that we love. And, we get to do all of that. It's
have way out their opinions.
and weigh out their opinions and, bicker like an old married couple, as Bo likes to say. He's like, I love getting to be around y'all because y'all are like a married couple that's been together for like 50 years.
Yeah.
But there's so many other friends that I've lost contact with over the years, but having this like built in and us just getting to hang out is my favorite Nerd Cave moment. And anytime I've, trash talked you is always number one in my heart.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I try and give it back. Like there's, you don't give me many opportunities, but I try and get them in there when I can. It's okay. I'll get you back more on Eat Sleep Anime than I do on this show.
Oh yeah. You definitely get me on that show way more than this one. Orochimaru or however Arorimashi. That's what it was.
But no, like I definitely agree with that. Like that's always my thing every year, man. It's like and this is why like we've done, like we were talking about it right before the show. It's like we've done this now for 4 years. Like we started post like peak COVID. Like I know 2021 was still in like the height of COVID, but coming in, it's like starting a show, like starting this back up and just doing it for like what we consider like for us full time, and just doing it and like starting a second show just on over 2 years ago now. So it's been really great to see. Next year's our 5-year anniversary essentially. So it's crazy to think about. We've been doing this for almost 5 years.
Yeah, and I just love how the show has progressed and gotten better and better over the years, where, we used to have 13, 14 pages of docs, and now and now it's way shorter, and, and just the constantly trying to get better and, just enjoying that. And
where we had like sometimes like 9 or 10 articles of news, and it's like, oh, let's narrow it down to like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Unless there's like a big gaming conference,
Yeah. And, just like, I love that we have people that watch and, interact and give their thoughts and all of those things. I just love like what we've been able to build with the Nerd Cave News. And I just remember, 4 years ago, just calling it Nerd Cave for a while. We didn't even have a name.
No. Our one kryptonite, guys, is we can't decide on names.
Hey, now Eat Sleep Anime was pretty easy.
Yeah, to an extent, but it still took us a bit to decide on a name, to be fair.
It did, but it was much easier than this show. This show, it was just like the news. But yeah, good times. That is our favorite. Let us know what your favorite Nerd Cave moment from the year is as well. And, I think on top of, just getting to enjoy that, like the moment that I remember when Yote got announced, and I'm sitting on the couch and I literally start filming myself because I was like, I've got to send this to Derek, and then it's like I send it right away and you're like, oh my god, Yote.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm sitting there watching it live and I'm just like, I want to text you so bad, but I know you were at work probably, and I didn't know if this was like your work from home day or not. And I'm just like, I can't spoil this for him. I want him to see this guy alive. And then you texted me that. I'm like, all right, we in, baby.
We in. So good. And I'm just thankful for, having a bro that would, sit down and do this every week and put in the hard work. And for people that are on Facebook, I don't know if enough people know this, but Derek puts in every day like whatever articles that are going on. Like he's been faithful and consistent on that. So if you want to join the Facebook group, y'all definitely go join
it's
that.
Also my archive, because when I go back and make the doc like Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how my schedule works out, it's like, all right, what was in the news? All right, let me go back in the last week. I start from Friday on and just like, all right, what's the biggest news that people we didn't get to talk about yet? I'm like, okay, there, rather than just trying to scroll through like 20 websites to find like news articles, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's always fun. And we've also learned a lot about when to use AI, when not to use AI on the show, and
that's another thing too, is like the quality of articles that we read, because we went from just like reading the entire thing to like do a short form version to now like, all right, we're just going to trim the fat of the article.
Yeah, and which I think is the best way. And we're also doing bylines, which I like as well. Giving people credit for, their work and all of that. So
Wesley Yinpool, honorary friend of the show.
Honorary friend of the show that's never heard of us. But yeah, so let us know your favorite moments down in the comments below. And always, John Stevenson is number one.
But you know what our least favorite part is? That scumbag Kevin.
That scumbag. Dude, you missed it. Okay. So
oh, gosh.
The Game Awards, okay? You had to go, and then it was like Todd Howard's gonna be here, and I was like, Todd Howard comes out on stage and opens his big fat mouth, and I'm like, Derek's not here, and Bo doesn't get the joke.
So bad because I saw him there earlier because when it cut to the crowd at one point I saw Todd Howard and I wanted to say it so bad, but they were just moving along so fast. Yeah. I'm like, nah, then that's not the time.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I was like, nobody, like, Bo doesn't know what I'm saying. This is like from 2015 when we're doing this. Amy says, I've appreciated exposing and discussing corporate corruption. Yeah, I feel like that is a majority of the show right now.
Talking about old Ben screaming at clouds, like, yes. Like we have, like over the years, like our disdain for the industry, which I made it a point to make it a topic of discussion for tonight, like what we want, because the last couple of years just feels like we've just been like not unhappy with the industry. Like we love playing the games, but the business side of it, we're just like, fix it, throw it out, redo it. This ain't it, boss.
Yeah, Ben Starr had a really good interview moment. I don't know if you saw that about the industry. I might have to pull it up and play it when we jump into that. But let's talk about the best conference of the year. There was a lot that happened, from Xbox ID showcases, developer directs, Nintendo directs, state of plays,
the Switch 2 unveiling.
Yeah, all of those things, and do we want to include like Summer Game Fest and Game Awards in this?
I do. I did, because just to kind of bury the lead here, I made Summer Game Fest my conference of the year, because I went back and looked through, like, I didn't go back through every different one, because I know there's a lot of like state of plays and a lot of Nintendo directs that were just minutia bullcrap that there was not a lot to care about. But so read through like going through like Summer Game Fest was pretty. There was some bangers that we got. Like, of course, I think that was like our first unveiling of Resident Evil Requiem, because I know that was like one of the things that ended the show. Let me see else. We got like a bunch of stuff. Like, of course, Resident Evil Requiem. We got, the Liza P Overture. I know you were looking forward to Dying Light the Beast, seeing that still, like, Dying Light as a franchise still get some love and attention. What else? The Wu-Tang game that we got.
Man, I'm excited for that one.
Seeing more of Onimusha, Way of the Sword. The Game of Thrones game, which, I say what you will about the show, but the game at least kind of looks intriguing. That was when we got our first release date for Arc Raiders. They unveiled the October release date. The next, Mads Mikkelsen and Hitman. The Scott Pilgrim EX. What was it? There's another one down here. Of course, we got more of like Death Stranding 2, like right before release date. Stranger Than Heaven by the Yakuza studio, the Ryo Gakutoku. Like, that one looked, I remember we watched the trailer and we were both like kind of blown away by what we saw of that game.
Yeah.
Like, Stranger Than Heaven, like I think it was just like a very solid overall Game Awards that we hadn't had. And like, you're talking about one of the pacing for, the pacing for Game Awards was the best. Like, the pacing for Summer Game Fest and like just in terms of like the quality of announcements, I think was the best like it had been in years, in my opinion. I'm probably misremembering one from like maybe a couple years ago, who knows? But honorary was the, like, just in terms of like tightness, like the quality of announcements, was the developer direct that we got from Xbox at the beginning of the year. And I know that'll be, bearing the lead, but they also confirmed this was that'll be the first major conference we cover to start 2026. Will be in January. They've kind of planted this flag now. Mid to late January is going to be their developer direct, where they focus on a few small titles, like a few titles that they're really passionate about, really excited for you to showcase. Because we got at that developer direct South of Midnight, which before we played it at the time looked very intriguing. Doom: The Dark Ages. Expedition 33, and then the unveiling of Ninja Gaiden 4 with Ninja Gaiden 2 Black remake. Shadow dropped that the day it aired the direct. So that was just like, because I know the first time they did the developer direct, like it was unprecedented, but it had some good moments, and then we got in 2023, and then 2024, we saw some bigger announcements like Indiana Jones and the Temple and the Great Circle. And now this one just felt like more of a complete, like, okay, every game in this thing, like I actually am intrigued by or care about, you know what I mean? So that was my honorable mention. It's just in terms of like, it was a smaller thing is why I didn't win it for me, because Summer Game Fest, we got so many announcements.
That's a good list. I think just because Game Awards was so much better than it has ever been.
Yeah.
I might give it to them.
Okay.
I might. But the PlayStation showcase in, when was that?
September?
Yeah, September.
Where we saw Wolverine.
Yeah, I think that takes it for me though. Like Wolverine was just so good. Yeah. I don't even care about the rest of the thing, but I know it was well produced and it felt like it didn't drag so much.
Right.
But Wolverine is worth it all. But yeah, I think those are my two. But yeah. I would probably give it to Game Awards just because Jeff has been really, really listening to the viewers and making it better each and every year. And this year has definitely been the best one.
Well, and it's like it's sort of like you always remember your first, right? It's like Jeff started with Game Awards, and I know he kind of overtook Summer Game Fest, but that's still his newer baby. But Game Awards is just like he's been doing this for 10 plus years, I think, now at this point. So it just means more to him to make sure this gets done right. And and he knows, because this is like the moment where they showcase to the world, like, hey, we take video games seriously, and this is why you should too.
Yeah. And I agree. Like Summer Games Fest was stacked this year. Yeah. I feel like we're finally out of that COVID excuse bubble, where we're actually starting to see good games more consistently. Like this year is clearly a representation of that.
Yes.
Where it's like we got tons of amazing games throughout the whole entire year. But yeah, those would be my two, I think, just because of the announcements more than anything for that. But we've got one last one. We want to know what your favorite announcement or conference was. What game were you so stoked to see this year announced and everything? Put that down in the comments below, because we're jumping into what we want from the gaming industry in 2026. Now, I found a TikTok of this interview from Ben Starr. Okay. Do you want to watch that real quick?
Yes, go ahead. Let's get this perspective first.
Okay, I think this is really, really
insightful.
Good. Yeah, insightful. Let me make sure that it's showing. Okay, here we go. All right.
To happen to the gaming industry in the past 5 years is consolidation. I would love to see video games gain back their independence. Just because number needs to continually go up year on year doesn't mean we should lose the humanity of video games. And I feel that sometimes it's very easy for people at the top who seemingly just want to get rid of the people who make the games because they love it. It's sad to see. And we've lost count now, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. In a year in which we are celebrating one of the strongest years in decades, we are also facing one of the most catastrophic losses of life in that industry. And that is a real crying shame. And it shows you that there are beautiful video games to be played, but at what cost? And I hope that the future is brighter than the situation is right now.
Well said.
Yeah.
And that kind of does lead into the point, like, because I feel like for the latter part of the last like 2-ish years, we've talked about so many video game closures, so many layoffs, and like it's been, like the evolution of like where we started getting like, it went back to crunch. You know what I mean? Like, like where like was our first, stuck in our craw. Like I mean, the stuff that really ticked us off a lot. Like we got talking about it to where we were fatigued with it, and now it's like then there was other. I forget what
microtransactions.
Microtransactions was the next one, and then it moved to, now it's like. layoffs, and now it's studio closures, and it's like now it's like AI, which will lead to more layoffs and closures. And it's just like, and I love how like video games have already, like a lot of studios have already come out and use their stance, where for either side, like some of it, obviously there are those, you know, people that are like advocating, it's like, oh, AI is not all bad. And I'm not saying AI, we shouldn't like not use AI, but I don't want to, you know, not see the forest for the trees and make AI the focal point. I want it to be an assist tool. I want it to be like, who was it that just came out and said, Larian came out and said, yeah, we're gonna not use AI as the focal point. Like we'll, you know, they did kind of not backtrack, but they did say, it's like, look, we're not going to not use AI because it does help us in a lot of aspects, but we're not going to make that our sole thing that we lean on in game development. We're going to use that to help polish and like help us, like, you know, with, you know, touch ups here and there. We're not going to rely on it as like the ones like, all right, type in a very intricate, can you imagine Larian, like, that does thousands of pages of dialogue for like a turn-based RPG, just putting it in a chat GPT and be like, write me a 3,000 page script? It would be an incoherent mess.
It would hallucinate so bad because like after a certain word count, it just goes crazy.
Yeah. It's sort of like, and you know, it started with like, oh, I trained a robot to watch 1,000 hours of whatever, you know, that trend that went on for a little bit, and it was such a garbled mess. After a while, it was just like, bro, this is not it. And I you know, just like with other things in the world, like obviously we're going to get dragged kicking and screaming with AI, but I don't want it, like Ben Starr said, I don't want us to lose the soul of why video games are made, why they're doing this. Like, and because he put it perfectly, in a year that was like one of the strongest years for video games, like top to bottom, like pound for pound, you know, like, you know,
it's like 2011 again.
Exactly. So in a strong list, I don't want us to lose that heart. And I know, because I actually started Shangri-La Frontier as an anime, like side note, but it's like, you know, you play a lot of VR video games, and like the main character, he starts off playing trash video games till he gets to the like AAA game. I know there's always going to be bad video games. Like, you know, you look at Steam, they don't have a regulator, and just like garbage just keeps piling up there. And like these random games, they're like, what is this mess? Like, why would people play this or waste their money? I know there a lot of studios are unionizing, and I do think that will pay dividends in some aspects, but I don't think it's the end all be all. Like I do, you know, I know we're kind of preaching to the choir here, but vote with your wallet is becoming more and more, and not just because of things going up in inflation and whatnot, but just because of like, if you're really tired of hearing us talk about, oh, this other studio, like I think one of the biggest blows was like Perfect Dark getting canceled. Like that franchise hadn't had a win in a very long time, and it was looking promising. And then we heard some rumblings, and then they not only canceled the game, they closed the studio, which Microsoft hadn't built an internal studio from the ground up in a very long time. And they just say, nah, tax write-off, nix it. Let's just don't even do it. I'm like, why? Like, you're not even letting them get off the ground. Like, at least give them a second chance. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, if PlayStation can give Media Molecule such a long leash, you can too. Not to that extent, but still, I don't know, man. Like, I want us to see like the devs fight back against these corporate. And I know it's gonna be an uphill battle. It's not gonna. Rome wasn't built in a day. The industry is not going to get fixed in a year. But I want us to start seeing pushback and like more victories rather than losses. Because even, you know, for the longest time, you know, when these studio closures and layoffs were happening, the theme was, oh, it underperformed, even if the studio made an egregious, like unattainable, you know, like goal for the game to do. They said, oh, it underperformed, it didn't hit the sales goal, blah, blah, blah. Fine, whatever. But then we would see successful games come out and overperform and overdeliver. And then there were still layoffs because people got greedy and were like, oh, you did actually better than we projected. We're still going to lay you off because we want to get more money in our pocket. It's like corporate greed. I want that to go away. I know that's like, you know, removing stink from a hunk of poop. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. But I want to see more fight back. I want to see more pushback. I want to see people fighting for their jobs because, you know, for however you feel about Expedition 33 winning everything pretty much under the sun that they were nominated for, they were a small studio and I want to see more people. Yeah, exactly. Hence the name Expedition 33. but I want to see more victories in that. Like, and you see this time and again, people are not, whether they see the writing on the wall before they get laid off, they leave the studio and go form their own stuff. So it's like now we're getting these more smaller studios to come out and make these awesome games that because they don't want to do through all the corporate politics and make this egregiously, like, you know, we talked about a few months ago. Microsoft now is getting into the gaming sphere and it's like we want you to hit 30% margins when everyone else is hitting 18 to 21. It's like, why are you forcing this down people's throat when you know it's going to result in more layoffs just because you weren't happy with the check you wrote, by the way, to acquire Activision Blizzard?
Yeah, they fought for it tooth and nail to get it, and now it's like, oh, they're having buyer's remorse. You know, they're still making tons of money, but they're having buyer's remorse.
Well, now you're seeing come out that's like saying, oh, we're not going to do back-to-back entries in like Call of Duty or like Black Ops and Modern Warfare, and people are like, oh, they're not going to do yearly releases. Like, no, they're still going to read the fine print. They're not going to just do Modern Warfare like 2 and 3 back-to-back years, and Black Ops 6 and 7 like they did back-to-back years. They're going to do other things, maybe get back to more like an Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, what have you, these one-offs. But Ghost. Something along those lines. That's what they're still going to release a Call of Duty every year, even though we've talked about it time and again since they bought Activision Blizzard. Let's not do that anymore. How about we try doing Call of Duty like any other sequel release, and like when it's ready and when you have a good product to release, drop it that year instead of just blazing through and trying to like rush an unfinished product to market.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like a lot of these developers have gotten into the position because they're not the ones making the decision. And I want to see them fight back. I want to see them, you know, really push to be able to make art, you know, to really make something that they are passionate about. And there are a lot of studios that have that freedom because of just who they are, you know, that they've earned that or whatever. But there are a lot of people like that are in those positions, like, you know, Toys for Bob was in that position where they were making really cool games and then got into a support role. And then thankfully they're, you know, out on their own again. Not everybody has that. And I know a lot of it is
Tango Gameworks was another one.
Tango Gameworks, you know, and who was that? It was another support group for they made Crash Bandicoot, Vicarious Visions.
Yeah, Vicarious Visions, yes.
Yeah. And it's like they get put into these things, but my hope for the gaming industry, and this is probably going to take 5-10 years, is that we see the rise of more independence. You know, we look at this year, majority of, well, not the majority, but a good chunk of the Game of the Year contenders were from independent game developers,
or non-AAA, like, you know, like Hades 2, Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, Hollow Knight, Silksong,
Expedition 33.
Yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. You know, so it's like you look at that and it's like that is exciting because these are people, and I don't know if you watched the acceptance speech or whatever, but there was one for Expedition 33. It was like, yeah, we didn't know how to make video games, so we just started watching YouTube.
Wow.
And we learned how to make a video game watching YouTube. So
that's great.
It's like, okay, you have these people that have never made video games that are making their own stuff, but then you have these people, and like it's that golden handcuff kind of thing. It's like you want to have that security, you want to have that, you know, where you're getting paid every week, that sort of deal. And it's hard to, you know, trust me, I've been there where, you know, you take a leap of faith and everything, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But when this industry is going to spit you out one way or another, you might as well start putting back and create something yourself. Get a group of colleagues, and I know this has become more of a thing. You know, people that created Apex Legends and Titanfall are doing this High Guard game, and they created their own studio. We've seen that time and time again, and I want to see more independent developers. I want to see double A games, or what, like, I think Clair Obscura is a AAA game, you know, but it's from an indie developer.
Right.
So, but it's like the gaming industry is got to be tighter. Like we can't have these always, like everything doesn't need to be open world. Everything doesn't have to be RPG. Everything like
everything doesn't have to be what's that game of service.
Yeah, games of service. Like we don't need that. We've got enough of that. And when you make a good game, Expedition 33, great example. Hollow Knight had 5 people develop it and they crushed sales. Both of these games crushed sales. I don't know what Hades did, but I know it has a huge fan base as well. Kingdom Come Deliverance crushed sales as well. And like it is owned by Embracer Group now, but it's like when you have teams that are devoted to their art and know what they're doing, and there's not a corporate overlord shoving their fist down their mouth, you're going to get art. And to the AI side of things, I think, like Larian is saying, like, hey, we're going to use AI in certain aspects to help us. It's a tool. It is not a magic wand. Because anytime anyone, the first time they ever use AI and they type something in, it's usually not that great because they don't know what they're doing,
Nope,
and
they don't know how to fine tune it to get the exact response they want.
Exactly. And dude, I've been using AI every day for like 3 years and I'm still learning, you know what I mean? So it's like, you're not going to have an end all be all AI thing. And in the side of art, it's like, if you're using AI to create art, you are just regurgitating someone else's ideas because it is trained off of other people's art and properties. Like it had to have something to start with. So it doesn't know, it's just going off its database. And to Amy's thing, streamline work processes, but leave AI out of art. And I agree with that.
Great.
It's like if we can get, like, I don't want AI voices. Like we saw, I think it was Banana Fish or whatever on Amazon.
Oh yeah, like the dub.
Oh my God. And I'm thankfully Crunchyroll has come out and said that they're not going to use that, use any AI, but they'll use it.
Good job, because I was expecting Crunchyroll to be one of the front runners for that.
Same. Hopefully they'll do the same thing with their subtitles. But we see with like Ubisoft, they're all in on AI writing dialogue stuff. We've seen with the finals and Arc Raiders, like the finals is definitely worse than Arc Raiders because there's a lot more dialogue and it's more like in the moment and everything. But it's like you look at these things and it's like, for a studio that is not making a lot of money, I understand. I could almost give them a pass, but for these big corporations, no.
Yeah, no. They're looking at that as corporate greed because they're like, we ain't got to pay the robots.
Yeah. It's like we pay a subscription or whatever, but it's like, I don't want to hear an AI voice actor. I want to hear somebody that's living and breathing that makes me connect. Like, can you imagine, Derek, playing God of War and you have an AI?
Boy.
Yeah. Like those moments, like all of that would have been, the gameplay could have been great, but then you would have had AI and it's like,
this is trash.
It's trash. It would have not had the same resonance and everything. So I'm hoping, next year we see less layoffs.
And to the counterpoint, like not to be on the side of, supporting layoffs and whatever, what I want to see is trimming the fat. And by that, I mean, these ignorant, greedy people get out. Like you just mentioned Ubisoft. Bungie, I kind of want to bring them up because they've kind of been like, they just came out. They kind of, whether Jeff didn't want to showcase Marathon, like get a release date or like a release window and a price point, or whether Bungie wasn't, didn't feel like they needed to have that all eyes on stage and just do their own thing afterwards. They announced Marathon March, which they didn't give a hard date in March, which makes me think they're not even confident and it's going to be out in March. They're just trying to hit like a end of quarter release. And it's going to be $40. But I know we didn't have a show a few weeks ago, but the one that we like, if we had it, one of the news topics was going to be a rumor that they were starting to work on Destiny 3. And it's like, You came out years ago because we covered it and said that they weren't. Now they'll probably do revisionist history and come out and like, well, we didn't mean we weren't going to do Destiny 3. We just weren't going to do it right now. AKA when the going got tough, we were going to hit the panic button and be like, all right, we're going to do Destiny 3, what you guys all want, and we're going to do some of the things you want. Trim the fat at Bungie. Make Bungie great again. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
get these ignorant, because we talked about like the director there, like being an ignorant, schmuck, and talking about like how he doesn't care about the misguidings of the studio. He wants to just flex his cars and all that crap. Like, don't, like, this is the same thing Ubisoft is doing. And like, when people got tired of not just the same stuff at Assassin's Creed, they hit the panic button and be like, all right. Or just like, I think it was more of like a panic button of like Ubisoft as a company, not so much Assassin's Creed, because I thought Assassin's Creed was getting their upswing again as a franchise. But Ubisoft as a company was doing crap, and they were like, hey, let's do Assassin's Creed Japan, what you've all been asking us for decades, since the series pretty much began. And it's like, that's not going to fix the problem. And it came out, it did its thing, but after about the first couple months, you really didn't hear much about it or see a lot of people stream it, play it, talk about it, kind of thing. So it just kind of came and went. So you didn't really hit a bullseye on that. Like, you did great for the first couple months, but after that, you didn't hit a complete bullseye and get a complete victory for your player base, for people watching you as a studio. So I want us to try, like, get Yves Guillemot out there. It's sort of like getting Jerry Jones out of the Cowboys, because he's not doing his thing. Like, they'll never win a Super Bowl under him. Like, get some of these old heads, these ignorant, schmucks out of these studios that are pretty much just killing it, like killing the lifeblood of their studios. Because I'm here to tell you, if the rumor is true that they are working on Destiny 3, that is pretty much them hitting the panic button and be like, all right, guys, we've done some questionable things. You may not care about Marathon when it comes out. And that's the thing too. Marathon coming out for $40, cool. Like, in an industry where games are going to be the standard $80, $90 going forward, cool. I'm with that. But it could be free, and I don't care because of all the controversy. Like, I know they settled that lawsuit, behind closed doors and whatever. So that's beside them. But still, that aside, what we've seen in Marathon has been pretty much lackluster. It's pretty much Destiny light, in a lot of aspects. It's not wowed us. And what other game came out at $40 price point? Concord. Now, I don't think Marathon will go the way of Concord and only be out for 2 weeks, but Concord came out to $40, and that did nothing. That didn't move the needle because the game didn't play well. And it doesn't matter. The game could be it could be free. If it doesn't play well, no one will care about it. And that's the thing. Like, again, like I said, we vote for our wallet. Like, if you want Bungie to get back to its glory days, like with Halo, like Prime Halo and whatnot, vote with your wallet. If you really believe Marathon is a game for you, it's going to be a great game. I'm not telling you how to spend your money. Cool, go ahead, play it. Just don't look at me and say, "Oh, this game's crap," because we told you. Me and Zach tell you all the time, when we feel like this game is not going to be good, we're going to be upfront with you about it. And we banged the drum for Skull and Bones, and it took how long for them to realize, like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this. It's like, try to tell you, bud. Like, sorry.
Yeah. It's like you look at, okay, it's going to be $40. It's not going to be Helldivers.
No.
Like, the playtest that they've already had, people are not excited about. People aren't, and then they had all the controversies. But you look at games that are $40, Arc Raiders. Who's going to buy?
3 was $40, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, shooter, multiplayer.
Yeah.
Who's going to buy Marathon over something that is like cooking right now? Nobody.
Yeah. No.
An unknown, or a game that is being supported. Their developers are constantly updating the game and listening to the community. Or do you want a corporation that doesn't care, that steals art, that has to pay fines, that has to settle out in court, that delays their game, and the gameplay is going to suck?
Yeah.
Which one you go?
Well, and like, okay, and like, and let's swing it the other way. Like, maybe Marathon comes out and it kills, like it does do a la like close to like Helldivers numbers. Cool. contrary to popular belief, I love to be proven wrong. Like, I'm not proven wrong often unless it comes to predictions. But I love that, especially with Zach. But very rarely am I wrong on a lot of things that I know for a fact is like, this ain't it, Chief. Like, I am very rarely wrong on that, but I love to be proven wrong because I want to see people succeed because like we just talked about, we see too much negativity in the gaming sphere as an industry, on the business side for us to, like, again, like Ben Starr said, like in one of the strongest years in gaming, we've had so much crap like going on, like the politics, the business side that just kind of ruins it for us, like the fans. Like, because it's like cool, because it's hard to get excited about something when that same studio that's putting it out laid off thousands of people or did AI bull crap, or you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Like, I'm hoping this maybe sends Bungie on the right track, but I doubt it will, and I don't think it will. And the same goes for Ubisoft. Like, I hope the next games they put out like kill it. You know what I mean? And I want them to do well because, like I said, one of the most unexpected games I played this year that I really enjoyed was Origins. I want them to make more games like that.
But that's a different Ubisoft.
I know that was a different Ubisoft. Like, I get that, but I want them to get back to that as, Sure. I want them to. But with these ignorant heads leading the charge that just don't care about human beings and just care about dollar signs, they need to get removed and taken out of the studios and let people who actually care about making great games and care about taking care of the people under them and making sure that there's food on their table in a world where everything's getting more expensive, and let them lead the charge.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the number always has to go up.
Yeah.
If the number goes down or stays stagnant, then you're not growing, thus you're dying. And it's like, when is enough? I think that's the big question. When is enough? And when you have, like, I think that's why I like the indie developer side of things. Like, they brought the whole crew in for Expedition 33, and you could tell that they were excited, that they were, supported each other. Like, even the cast and all of that, they were there and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, you can tell that they're going to protect their own and they're going to support each other. When you get to the level of a Ubisoft, or that it's not about what is enough. Am I going to take a bigger salary and have to cut 2 other people's positions?
Yeah.
It's like, is that worth it? Is their lives being detrimentally affected worth me taking an increase in salary? Or can I market my game more? Or can I do this, that, or the other? Like, there's different ways of doing this. Maybe, find other ways. Like, do you need stationery or whatever? Like, there's other things to do to cut down on budgets than just cutting people out. And especially, like, I hate every year when we get around Christmas time and we see layoffs. Like, that pisses me off.
Right before
so much.
Peak holiday season, like right before Thanksgiving, when people are trying to buy the food and start buying early Christmas gifts. It's so scummy and sleazy, it makes my blood boil.
Yeah, because we see it every year. The week before Thanksgiving, there's always some sort of layoff, and I'm so tired of that crap because it is so inhuman. Like, they're only thinking about their wallet. And it's just like
that end of year holiday bonus.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I gotta cut some so we can, get that bonus. Gotta get that bonus. We can't let them,
Sorry, Jeff in accounting. Sorry, Susie, and art direction.
Yeah, it's so sleazy, and I hate that, and I hope that this year, from seeing all these indie winning it. And all these indies like contending,
nominated.
Like, that should say, hey, Ubisoft, you suck at your job. Hey, EA, you suck at your job. You know what I mean? Like,
a Ubisoft game got even sniffed around for a Game of the Year contention.
Not that I can think of.
Like, I'm pretty sure, I want to say Assassin's Creed Odyssey was in, like, the year it came out in 2018 was up there, but that was 7 years ago.
I'm not sure, but it's just like, when you look at this, it is detrimental to the industry. are they going to get another job in the industry? Maybe not. Maybe they have to go do DoorDash or whatever, make ends meet. And then you're losing these talented people because you suck at your job.
Well, and to piggyback off that, it's deterring up and coming people who are like coming out of college, who have been working on this craft, who have good ideas, but they don't have the budget. They want to come to these bigger studios that have the budget to realize their vision, but then they see all this happening. It's like, why even bother?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I just hope we see a change this coming up year, and
or at least the start. I'll take a start of a change. It doesn't have to be a complete victory, because like I said, Rome wasn't built in a day. Just, I want to see more pushback. I want to see more people standing up, like just not being like, oh, well, outspoken, like, you know, be more outspoken, be more vocal, like plant your flag down and be like, we will not budge.
Well, and you know, I'm gonna just call it out right now. GTA 6. Do you want to support a company that fires people because they're forming a union?
Supposedly,
but they're being taken to court. There's a whole court case that is against them right now for that. It's like, do you want to support that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying, it's like,
where's your moral compass lie?
Yeah, it's like, do you want to play something? And that's the thing. It's like, it's so hard when you want a piece of entertainment. It's like, oh, this thing will make me feel better about myself or my life. It'll help me escape. And then it's like, oh, well, do I actually want this when it affects people in a negative way?
People,
you know, so that's what we want from the gaming industry in 2026.
We had to have more soapbox old man rant before the end of the
year. Amy says, cut bloated salaries of corporate higher ups. Yes.
Preach.
Tell them, Derek, I told you so. And absolutely disgusting. Yeah. And hopefully, you know, like what I want from the Nerd Cave next year is more awesome shows, more great discussions, and getting to hang out with you, and more awesome peeps watching and discussing and everything. And that's all I really care about, is just getting to do more of this and enjoying the thing that we enjoy, which is video games and hanging out with each other. So
the joy of playing video games.
Yeah. Amy says, my favorite announcement, Animal Crossing update. Not long from now, January, I think 26 is when it comes out.
Oh, there we go.
So,
man, January's gonna be packed. I mean, we got tons of anime to watch too.
Oh my God.
We'll get into that on Eat Sleep Anime.
So much good stuff. Well, there you go, everybody. That is the final episode of the Nerd Cave News, the Nerd Cave Awards 2025. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting the Nerd Cave News throughout this entire year. Let us know your thoughts and comments down in the comments below, and we'll see you on the next episode, which will be January.
We'll figure it out.
I think January 8th or something like that. But we'll see you.
We'll see you. About to say, we'll see you in 2026 regardless, but y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well.
This has been Zach.
And Derek.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.